picture this. You are standing backstage, and you're just minutes away from walking out into the blinding glare of a spotlight.
Oh, man. That is already stressful.
Right, and there's 1,000 expectant people out there. You're a highly paid speaker. You're the globally recognized creator of one of the most famous comic strips in history.
Okay.
And the event organizers are standing right next to you, and they're just, trying to make polite small talk.
Yeah, standard green room stuff.
Exactly. So you try to answer them, but this massive, terrifying problem occurs. Your throat just snaps shut.
Wait, what do you mean snaps shut? Like a choke?
Yeah, literally. You find yourself physically squeezing out syllables. It's like a terrible cell phone connection that's dropping every third word.
Oh, wow.
You have effectively become a ghost in a crowded room. You are completely incapable of basic human communication.
That sounds like a literal nightmare. Like the kind where you are desperately trying to scream in your sleep, but your vocal cords just, they refuse to engage.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like sleep paralysis. But this was the waking reality for Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert.
Oh, right.
Back in the mid-2000s, he developed this mysterious condition. And the weird thing is, he could talk to his cat without a problem.
Huh.
He could recite a poem perfectly if he was just alone in his living room. But the moment he attempted a casual human conversation, his voice just vanished.
That is so specific and bizarre.
It really is. He even had a psychologist offer him Valium because they assumed he was just having a nervous breakdown from, the stress of his career.
Sure, that makes sense.
But it was actually later diagnosed as spasmodic dysphonia, which is this neurological issue where the brain sends faulty signals and it causes the vocal cords to just involuntarily clam up.
Oh, I see. So when your own biology betrays you with that level of specificity, it completely shatters your understanding of how you interface with the world. Most people in that situation would just cancel the gig, go home and hide.
And that is exactly what makes this story so crucial, because he didn't cancel the gig.
Why, he went out there.
He goes out there, the announcer bellows his name, he walks out onto that stage, steps up to the microphone, looks out at 1,000 faces, opens his mouth, and his voice works. Flawlessly.
Are you kidding me?
No. He delivers this complex 45-minute routine. The crowd gives him a massive ovation. He walks off the stage back to the organizers, and instantly, the voice is gone again.
That defies conventional logic entirely. That is an absolute medical and psychological puzzle. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
Because to Scott Adams, this wasn't just a terrifying medical anomaly. The way he handled this moment on stage is actually the perfect lens through which to view his entire philosophy of life. He realized that his brain and body were essentially just this, what he calls a moist robot.
A moist robot. That is a great visual.
Right, just a programmable machine running on faulty chemical and electrical signals. So he didn't step on that stage because he was brave.
Okay.
He stepped into this high-risk situation where he could have been, publicly humiliated simply because he was testing a hypothesis. He wanted to see if the program of public speaking operated on a completely different neurological circuit than the program of casual conversation. So he was looking for a pattern. He was trying to extract data from a potential disaster.
And that relentless, almost clinical extraction of value from chaotic situations, that is the beating heart of our deep dive today.
Yes, exactly.
We are exploring the source material from his book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And it's important to note, Adams explicitly warns the reader early on that he is not a credentialed expert.
Right, he's not a psychologist.
No, not at all. He considers himself a professional simplifier. His entire career has been dedicated to just observing the absurdities of the corporate world, stripping away the nonsense, and finding the raw, sometimes uncomfortable truth underneath.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to apply that exact same simplification process to the concept of success. We're going to deconstruct the traditional career advice you have been fed your entire life.
Which is a lot of advice.
So much. And we're going to replace it with a highly unconventional, failure-driven, strangely mathematical template for winning.
So whether you are an entrepreneur trying to get a startup off the ground, or a student staring down a terrifying job market, or even just a middle manager feeling completely trapped in a cubicle, get ready to shed some baggage here.
Definitely.
Because the standard playbook tells us to set these massive goals, follow our burning passions, and above all, avoid failure at all costs. And we're about to dismantle every single one of those concepts.
But before we can begin replacing those old paradigms, we have to address a structural problem with how human beings process information. Because if we are indeed just moist robots, as Adam suggests, our hardware comes preloaded with some severe glitches.
Oh, absolutely. We are incredibly prone to cognitive biases.
Yeah. Adams himself admits that he is an unreliable narrator. He says if he has to choose between recounting a story with strict factual accuracy or maximizing its entertainment value, he will choose entertainment every single time.
Which is refreshingly honest.
It really is. But because of that, he insists that the reader, and by extension our listener today, needs a framework to filter the signal from the noise. We need to basically calibrate our bullshit detectors.
I love that he just hands us the tools to scrutinize his own book.
Right.
The source material outlines how humans typically sort truth from fiction, and it's honestly a terrifying audit of our own brains. We rely on these default filters, and every single one of them is compromised.
Go through them.
Yeah, so think about personal experience. We treat our own memories as gospel, but human perception is shockingly malleable. We see what we expect to see, and our memories are literally rewritten every single time we recall them.
And then we also rely heavily on the experiences of the people around us. Like if your brother-in-law tells you a certain stock is a guaranteed winner because he made money on it, you are now relying on his flawed perception.
Oh, dangerous.
Exactly. Which is then being filtered through your own biases about his intelligence.
Yeah.
Just compounds the error. Then we have our reliance on experts. We assume that a credential means absolute objectivity, but experts operate within economic and social systems. They work for funding or for prestige or to maintain their standing within a specific academic consensus.
So they're incentivized to protect their worldview.
Always.
Which brings us to the supposed gold standard, which is scientific studies. We see a headline that says, "New study links coffee to longevity," and we just take it as absolute truth.
Right. I'm drinking 3 cups right now.
Exactly. We completely forget that correlation is not causation. Just because two things happen at the same time doesn't mean one caused the other. Like maybe people who drink coffee just happen to have higher incomes and better health care.
That makes a lot of sense. And we also fall back on common sense, which historically is just a phenomenal way to be confidently mistaken about anything that happens to be counterintuitive.
Yeah, I mean, for centuries, common sense dictated the sun revolved around the earth.
Exactly. And finally, there is our brain's absolute favorite party trick: pattern recognition. Our moist robot brains are just desperate for order. So we will look at pure coincidence, like a string of red numbers on a roulette wheel, and we perceive a deeply meaningful pattern that simply does not exist.
So if all of our default truth filters are this deeply broken, we are basically flying blind here. How do we ever know if a piece of advice, like the ones we're about to discuss today, is actually valid?
The author argues that the closest mortals can ever get to objective truth is by seeking consistency across multiple dimensions.
Okay, what does that mean?
It is essentially the core of the scientific method adapted for everyday survival. So if a prestigious study claims that a new diet of eating nothing but raw cabbage yields incredible health benefits, well, that is one dimension.
Right, the study.
But if you try it, and you feel lethargic, and your doctor notices your iron levels plummeting, you have a lack of consistency. The advice fails the test. The text uses a very practical, if slightly unappetizing example.
Yeah.
If every time you eat a large bowl of popcorn, you experience terrible digestive pain an hour later, you don't need a double-blind, peer-reviewed clinical trial to tell you that popcorn is the culprit.
Yeah, your stomach is giving you all the data you need.
Exactly. The consistency across multiple dimensions of your own life is enough to establish a functional truth.
So we should really treat this entire deep dive like a software patch for our glitchy operating systems. We aren't asking the listener to blindly accept this new code.
No, not at all.
We want you to run these concepts against the background of your own lived experience, looking for that multidimensional consistency. And the very first piece of societal code we need to audit is perhaps the most sacred, universally repeated piece of career advice in existence.
Oh boy.
Follow your passion.
Yeah, it is printed on every high school graduation card. It serves as the emotional climax of almost every celebrity interview. And the source material argues that it is a massive, dangerous illusion.
The text provides a really fascinating reality check here, and it comes from a very unromantic place, a commercial loan officer's desk.
Okay.
So before Dilbert ever existed, Adams spent years working at Crocker National Bank in San Francisco, and his boss was this veteran lender who had been approving and denying business loans for 3 decades.
He's seen it all.
He's seen it all, and he taught Adams the golden rule of commercial lending, which directly contradicts the passion narrative. If a prospective borrower walks into the bank and they're just vibrating with enthusiasm, asking for a loan to open a sports memorabilia store simply because they are passionate about sport,
How do you do?
you decline the loan. Every single time.
Wow. But wait, from a risk assessment standpoint, that burning enthusiasm is actually a massive red flag.
Yeah, it blinds them to the math. But if a tired, unpassionate grinder walks into that exact same office and says, I want to open a commercial dry cleaning facility. I have no personal love for laundry, but I noticed a demographic shift in this neighborhood, and the profit margins on the spreadsheet look incredibly solid.
You hand them the money.
You hand them the money. The bank bets on the cold, calculating grinder. They never bet on the person trying to monetize their hobby.
What's fascinating here is how deeply we've bought into the survivorship bias that props up the passion myth. We only ever consume media about the outliers. The billionaires, the rock stars, the visionary tech founders who made it to the summit.
Right, the 0.001%.
Exactly. When a journalist puts a microphone in front of a billionaire and asks for the secret to their success, the billionaire cannot answer honestly. They can't say, I was born into a wealthy family with exceptional genetics, I was ruthlessly competitive, and I hit a 1 in a million window of market timing.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of looking at lottery winners and concluding that buying scratch-off tickets is a sound retirement strategy because, hey, it worked for them.
Yes, we never interview the millions of people who bought the tickets and lost. We just assume the winner had some special destiny.
Right.
Because attributing success to luck or genetics sounds arrogant and alienating. But passion is the perfect PR answer. It sounds humble, it's democratic, it's accessible.
Everybody can have passion.
Exactly. It implies that anyone with enough internal fire can bend the universe to their will. So they claim they just followed their passion. And the media amplifies this, completely ignoring the graveyard of thousands of equally passionate people who took wild, irrational risks on a sports store and lost their life savings.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there and push back. Let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Are you really telling me that the world's greatest musicians or Olympic athletes who train 14 hours a day until their bodies break down are just doing it because the math made sense? You don't think there is a fundamental burning passion driving that level of sacrifice?
That is a crucial distinction to make, and it's a great point. The text isn't arguing that passion doesn't exist. It's arguing about the direction of causality.
Okay, clarify that.
We look at the Olympic athlete and assume their passion created their success. The author proposes the exact opposite. Success causes passion. Human biology is wired to enjoy activities where we experience competence and mastery, and to despise activities where we constantly fail. If you pick up a tennis racket at age 7 and immediately beat everyone in your neighborhood, you receive a massive dopamine hit.
Because you won.
You feel talented. You win.
Yeah.
That success generates the energy and the passion to practice for 14 hours a day.
So the passion is the exhaust fumes of the success engine, not the actual fuel itself.
Exactly.
Adams uses his own life as proof of this. When he opened a restaurant in California, he was incredibly passionate on opening day. The line was out the door, the register was ringing, and he felt like a genius.
Naturally.
But a few years later, when the business model broke down and he was bleeding money every month, that burning passion mysteriously evaporated.
Funny how that works.
Right. But with Dilbert, the dynamic was completely flipped. He wasn't consumed with a fiery, singular passion for drawing office cubicles. It was literally just one of a dozen weird side projects he was testing.
Throwing things at the wall.
Exactly. But when it started getting syndicated, when the paycheck started arriving and he realized he was uniquely good at it, suddenly he was very passionate about cartooning.
Which requires the listener to take a very uncomfortable inventory of their own life. Look at the things you currently label as your passions. Are you pursuing them because you genuinely thrive in the daily, grinding reality of the work? Or are you forcing yourself down a path because society convinced you that feeling passionate is a prerequisite for generating wealth?
If passion isn't the fuel for a successful career, it leaves a massive vacuum. What actually powers the engine?
Right.
And the author's answer is brilliant because it removes all the pressure of having to be perfectly inspired. The ultimate resource for success is failure.
But not the romanticized woe is me failure. The author treats failure as a tangible, managed resource.
He fundamentally rejects the Stoic philosophy we often apply to hardship. He absolutely roasts Friedrich Nietzsche here.
Oh, he does.
We all know the famous quote, "What doesn't kill us makes us stronger." Adams argues that this is a completely useless loser philosophy.
Strong words.
Yeah, it's barely even optimistic. It implies that you just Endure a beating, survive, and now your skin is slightly thicker for the next beating. That doesn't propel you forward. Instead, he introduces the fertilizer strategy.
I love this analogy.
It's so good. If you walk out your front door and discover a massive cow turd on your porch, you don't just stand there feeling mentally resilient about the smell. You grab a shovel, move it to your garden, and use it to fertilize your tomatoes. You actively extract the value from the unpleasant experience.
It completely neutralizes the emotional sting of failing. If you view failure as a definitive judgment on your intelligence or your worth, you will eventually stop trying new things to protect your ego.
Yeah, you just freeze up.
But if you reframe it as a purely transactional exchange, like you traded your time and effort for new data and skills, then failure just becomes research and development. You refuse to walk away from a disaster until you've picked its pockets for every useful lesson it holds.
And his own resume is a masterclass in picking the pockets of disaster. The source material lists a string of hilarious, crushing defeats. Let's look at the Velcro rosin bag.
Okay, yeah.
While in college, he noticed tennis players dealing with sweaty hands. So he invents a small rosin bag that attaches to tennis shorts with Velcro. He builds prototypes, writes to major sporting goods executives, and pitches his brilliant idea.
So it's pretty entrepreneurial.
It does, but he receives polite form letter rejections across the board. The project is totally dead.
Most people would just be embarrassed and throw the prototypes in the trash.
Yeah.
How did he compost that specific cow turd?
He extracted a permanent business rule. Ideas are essentially worthless.
Oh.
The world is full of people with great ideas. The market only rewards execution. He realized he had no distribution network, no manufacturing capability, and no capital. From that failure forward, he stopped chasing pipe dreams that required other people to build them and only pursued projects he could physically execute himself.
That's a huge lesson to pull from a failed tennis accessory.
He grew self-reliance out of that manure. Then we have the Xerox interview. He walks into a job interview for a sales position with Xerox. He has absolutely no sales experience, and he proceeds to arrogantly argue with the seasoned recruiter, claiming that sales is simply arguing with customers until you win.
Which anyone who has ever been in sales knows is the exact opposite of how you close a deal.
Yeah.
You don't bully the client into submission.
No. So he bombed the interview spectacularly, but instead of just wiping his shoes and moving on, he fertilized his self-awareness. That humiliating rejection forced him to confront the fact that he fundamentally misunderstood persuasion, he hated selling, and he was naturally terrible at it.
Yeah, that's important data.
That one failure saved him a decade of climbing the wrong corporate ladder. It taught him to stop fighting uphill battles and only seek out environments where he possessed a natural, unfair advantage.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of his eventual tech savvy, the most striking examples of this extraction process are his early attempts at programming computer games.
Oh, right, the games.
Yeah, in the early 1980s, long before the modern gaming industry, he spent countless hours locked in his room coding a space arcade game. And later, this bizarre psychic tracking program.
Wow.
Commercially, they were abysmal failures. He sold maybe a couple of dozen copies.
It sounds like a colossal waste of hundreds of hours of his youth.
On paper, yes. But he was building a greenhouse of rare skills. By forcing himself to figure out complex coding problems for these doomed games, he accidentally acquired a working knowledge of personal computers.
In the 80s, that was rare.
Exactly. In the corporate banking world of the 1980s, merely knowing how to turn on a computer and manipulate a spreadsheet made you look like a visionary wizard. That wasted coding time directly fueled his promotions at Crocker Bank and eventually landed him lucrative positions in the telecom industry.
That is wild.
He deliberately entered high failure rate environments, absorbed the inevitable failures, but kept the skills.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. He uses these extracted skills to climb into management at Crocker National Bank. But eventually, he hits a political ceiling.
Yeah, corporate politics.
The promotions stop. He realizes his banking career is stalling out. So he manages to jump ship and take a job at Pacific Bell. A matter of weeks after he leaves, Crocker National Bank gets acquired in a massive merger, and his entire former department is liquidated.
Oh my God.
He failed at getting promoted, which caused him to leave, which allowed him to accidentally dodge a mass layoff.
Talk about dodging a bullet.
It totally cements his belief that the universe is chaotic. There is absolutely no guaranteed link between your performance, your passion, and your ultimate outcome.
The environment is fundamentally unpredictable. So if passion is a mirage, and you are guaranteed to face a relentless, chaotic stream of failures, how does the moist robot maintain its programming? How do you avoid systemic depression and keep moving forward?
Right.
This requires a radical shift in how you measure daily progress. You have to entirely abandon the concept of goals.
Goals are for losers.
Yeah.
It is the most provocative statement in the entire book.
It really is.
We live in a culture obsessed with setting SMART goals, vision boards, and 5-year plans.
It is deeply countercultural. But when you examine the underlying mechanics of human psychology, it is surgically precise.
Break that down for us.
Well, we need to clearly define the terminology. A goal is a specific, measurable objective that exists in the future. You either achieve it or you don't. It is a finish line. I want to lose 10 pounds by July. I want to increase my department's revenue by 15% this quarter.
It's a binary state, pass or fail.
Exactly. And consider the psychological burden that puts on you. From the exact moment you set an ambitious goal, you are existing in a state of continuous, agonizing failure until the moment you cross that finish line.
Yeah, because you're not there yet.
Right. If your goal is to lose 10 pounds, and you work incredibly hard for 3 weeks and lose 8 pounds, your brain still registers that you are failing.
That's so demotivating.
It drains your daily energy, it makes you feel inadequate, and ironically, it makes you want to quit. And worst of all, what happens when you actually cross the finish line?
Oh, you experience the post-marathon depression phenomenon. You train for 6 months, your entire life is structured around this race. You run it, they hand you a medal, you get a dopamine spike that lasts about 20 minutes, and the next morning you wake up feeling completely empty, asking, is that it? What now?
Yes. The motivation vanishes the second the goal is achieved.
Yeah.
Because goals are temporary interventions.
So if goals are for losers, what are for winners?
Systems. A system is a routine, a practice, or a mechanism that you engage in on a regular basis with a reasonable expectation that it will generally improve your position over time. Systems do not have deadlines. They do not have finish lines.
Okay, give me an example.
Losing 10 pounds is a goal. Eating healthy meals and moving my body for 30 minutes every day is a system.
The text uses the Olympics to perfectly illustrate this, actually. Every 4 years, thousands of the most elite athletes on the planet arrive at the Olympic Village. Every single one of them has the exact same goal.
Win the gold medal.
Win the gold. But only one person stands on top of the podium. If having a clear, powerful goal was the secret to success, there would be 1,000 gold medalists. The goal did not differentiate the winner from the losers.
The differentiator was the system. The winner likely had a slightly more optimized system of nutrition, recovery, or mental conditioning. We see this play out in business constantly, too. Look at the billionaires who build lasting empires. They are systems thinkers. Look at Warren Buffett.
Okay.
His operating system is not, I need to make exactly $3 billion by Q4. His system is carefully analyze the fundamentals of undervalued companies, purchase them at a discount, and hold them long term.
He executes that system every single day, whether the market is booming or crashing.
Yes. The billions of dollars are just a natural byproduct of the system running smoothly.
Adams developed his own incredibly robust system for his creative life. His system was simple. Create something the public wants and reproduce it in large quantities.
Notice the total lack of a specific finish line there.
Right. His system wasn't sell 2 million copies of a comic strip. It was just a daily mechanism. He wrote meditation guides, he coded those terrible psychic tracking games, he drew bizarre comics.
Operating the system guaranteed that he would experience a high volume of short-term failures.
Yes, but the magic of the system is that it allowed him to feel himself growing more capable every single day. He won simply by executing the routine. He woke up, worked his system, and went to bed feeling like a winner.
And implementing a system successfully requires a deep understanding of your own nature. The author introduces a brilliant distinction here regarding how people manage complexity. He divides the world into 2 camps: optimizers and simplifiers.
This was a hilarious section. He uses his wife, Shelley, as the archetypal optimizer.
Tell us about Shelley.
An optimizer is someone who will spend 3 hours researching on the internet to find the absolute perfect, most efficient, most cost-effective solution to a problem, trying to squeeze out every last theoretical drop of value.
While Adams firmly identifies as a simplifier will gladly accept a solution that is only 80% perfect if it requires significantly less effort and mental bandwidth to implement. They intentionally choose the path of least resistance.
But wait, shouldn't we strive for optimization? Why does he argue that simplifiers actually win the long game?
Because highly optimized systems are fragile. They possess too many interconnected failure points. A complicated, perfectly optimized diet or workout routine requires immense willpower, perfect scheduling, and ideal conditions to maintain.
And life is rarely ideal.
Exactly. The moment you have a bad day at work, the complex system collapses. Simple systems survive contact with reality. More importantly, simplifying frees up time, and above all, it preserves energy.
Energy is key.
If you spend all your mental energy optimizing your morning commute to save 4 minutes, you've depleted the cognitive fuel you need for your actual creative work.
Okay, but isn't a system just a goal broken down into daily tasks? Let me push back here. Let's say I'm a listener, and I decide my ultimate objective is to become a millionaire. So I set up a system of automatically investing 15% of my income into index funds every month. Aren't I really just wearing a disguise? Isn't that just a goal with a different name? I'm still desperately chasing that finish line of $1 million.
That is a very sharp critique, and it gets to the core of how we deceive ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The author addresses this tension by contrasting two psychological states, wanting versus deciding.
Okay, wanting versus deciding.
Every single person on Earth wants to be a millionaire. Wishing for an outcome is a passive fantasy, but deciding requires a fundamental shift in identity.
How so?
Deciding means you have meticulously calculated the exact price of success, the sacrifices, the time, the discomfort, and you have committed to paying that price.
So the goal is the wish, but the system is the checkbook.
Precisely. When you truly decide, the $1 million ceases to be the focal point. The daily execution of that 15% investment, the discipline to live below your means, becomes the reality you have chosen to inhabit. You detach your emotional well-being from the future payout and attach it to the present-day execution. The system becomes the success itself.
So practically speaking, let's say a listener has abandoned their stressful goals, adopted a daily system, and is actively shoveling the manure of their failures into their garden of experience. How do they ensure this system actually points towards success? You could have a highly disciplined daily system of collecting navel lint, and that isn't going to make you a CEO.
Fair point.
We have to introduce the mathematics of winning. The source material refers to this as math over magic.
This is the pivot point where the text moves from psychological reframing into hard, cold strategy. The author shares a story about speaking to a classroom of 5th graders.
I love this story.
He asked the kids a simple question. If you walk up to a slot machine in a casino and you just keep playing it long enough, what eventually happens?
And the kids, deeply indoctrinated by the cultural narrative of perseverance, all shouted, "You win!"
Never give up. Keep pulling the handle.
It's adorable, but mathematically catastrophic.
Yes. Adults understand that casino slot machines are algorithmically engineered to slowly drain your bank account. Persistence in a negative-sum game guarantees bankruptcy.
Right.
However, Adams views the real world of entrepreneurship, side hustles, and career advancement as a magical slot machine that does not require money to play.
Wait, it doesn't?
Well, it only costs your time, your focus, and your energy. If you can figure out how to pull the handle on new ventures without risking financial ruin, meaning you keep your day job, you maintain low overhead, you build things on the weekends.
Then success transforms from a game of chance into a mathematical inevitability.
Exactly. If you pull the handle thousands of times, the laws of probability dictate that you will eventually hit a jackpot.
But we aren't just relying on blind volume, right? You can actively manipulate the odds of that slot machine paying out. Which brings us to the most actionable, powerful formula in the entire book.
What is it?
Every new skill you acquire doubles your odds of success.
It is an incredibly liberating equation, largely because of the caveat attached to it. The formula is predicated on the idea that good plus good is greater than excellent.
This completely shatters the modern pressure to specialize. From the time we are in school, we are told that the economy only rewards the top 1%. We are told we must strive for absolute excellence to be the undeniable best in our chosen field.
Yeah, find your niche and master it.
But Adams argues that the pursuit of singular excellence is a trap for the vast majority of human beings. Achieving the top 1% is grueling, fiercely competitive, and heavily reliant on genetic gifts or extreme early advantages.
If you weren't aggressively trained in gymnastics by age 4, you are never going to the Olympics, regardless of your passion.
Exactly. But the beauty of the moist robot is its adaptability. You can become pretty good, say, in the top 25% at almost any measurable skill with just a few months of focused, systematic effort.
Yeah, that's true.
You can learn to be a pretty good public speaker. You can learn the fundamentals of graphic design. You can learn basic accounting principles. You can learn how to write persuasive copy. None of those individual skills are world-class. None of them will make you famous on their own. But when you begin to stack them together,
you synthesize a unicorn. Let's walk through a practical example for our listeners right now. Let's say someone listening works in human resources. They were a decent HR rep, one of millions.
Fairly standard.
But what if they spend 6 months learning how to edit video at a pretty good level? And then they take a course on the psychology of marketing.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Suddenly, they aren't just an HR rep. They are the only person in their massive corporation who understands employee relations and can produce highly engaging, psychologically optimized internal recruiting videos.
They just created a completely unique micro-niche. The interception of those 3 mediocre skills makes them invaluable.
We can look at the ultimate proof of concept for this theory, the Dilbert blueprint itself. How did Scott Adams build a multi-million-dollar cultural phenomenon? It certainly wasn't through world-class artistic talent.
He is the first to admit his art is terrible. He jokes that he draws like an inebriated howler monkey.
An inebriated howler monkey.
Yeah. He draws characters with no mouths and identical bodies because it was easier. His artistic skill is, at best, aggressively mediocre.
And his writing.
He considers his humor and writing to be good, but he acknowledges he isn't a generational comedic genius like Jerry Seinfeld or Dave Chappelle.
But look at the architecture of his specific skill stack. He layered that mediocre drawing and good humor on top of over a decade of brutal, first-hand corporate business experience.
Right.
He understood the soul-crushing bureaucracy of middle management from his time at Crocker Bank and Pacific Bell. He also forced himself through an MBA program at UC Berkeley through sheer attrition, giving him a deep understanding of corporate finance, jargon, and marketing strategy.
And finally, because his cubicle at Pacific Bell was adjacent to a tech lab, he possessed a working, functional knowledge of the early internet years before the general public understood what a modem was.
That is the magic formula. Average drawing plus good writing plus deep corporate empathy plus an MBA plus early internet literacy.
Yeah.
Any one of those skills is completely mundane.
But synthesized. He created a comic strip that perfectly skewered the exact pain points of corporate life. He used his MBA skills to negotiate brilliant syndication and merchandising deals, and he was one of the very first cartoonists in the world to publish his email address in the margins of his strip, utilizing the internet to build a direct relationship with his audience.
Wow.
That unique stack mathematically guaranteed he would dominate that specific space.
It completely reframes how you approach self-improvement. It changes the daunting question of, how can I become the absolute best in the world? To a much more manageable question. What complementary average skill can I learn this weekend to double my odds?
But acquiring those skills, maintaining those systems, and enduring those failures requires an immense amount of fuel. If you are constantly running your moist robot hardware, you run the risk of burning out the motherboard.
Very true.
This brings us to the final and slightly esoteric operational manual of the text: brain hacking.
We touched on this briefly when discussing simplifiers versus optimizers, but it is critical to understand Adams's ultimate metric for evaluating life choices, personal energy. He does not optimize for time, and he does not optimize for money. He optimizes entirely for energy.
It makes complete biological sense. If your personal energy is high, every single other task becomes easier. Your mood elevates, your resilience to failure increases, and your capacity to learn new skills expands.
Adam structures his entire existence around managing his energy peaks and valleys, completely ignoring traditional clocks. He meticulously controls his diet, avoiding simple carbohydrates that spike blood sugar and cause afternoon crashes. He exercises every single day, not with the goal of looking like a fitness model, but as a system to generate physical and mental stamina.
And he also aggressively matches his most demanding tasks to his natural neurological peaks. During his corporate years, he recognized that after a full day of office politics, his brain was completely depleted by 6 p.m.
So instead of trying to force creativity at night, he completely inverted his schedule. He went to sleep extremely early and woke up at 4 a.m.
Wow, 4 a.m.
He harnessed his peak, refreshed creative energy in the silent hours of the morning to draw Dilbert before the demands of the world could drain his battery.
He even uses daydreaming as a tool. He advocates for vividly imagining massive, unrealistic success. Not because he believes in mystical manifestation, but because visualizing a massive win triggers a real chemical dopamine release today.
It provides a tangible spike in energy that you can use to fuel your current work.
Which segues perfectly into what might be the most controversial eyebrow-raising section of the entire source material: affirmations.
Oh, yes.
Adams claims that the simple act of writing down a specific sentence 15 times a day had an astronomical impact on his trajectory.
Give us an example.
So, long before he was syndicated, he wrote, "I, Scott Adams, will be a famous cartoonist 15 times a day." Years later, he used the system again, writing, "I, Scott Adams, will be a #1 best-selling author." Against all statistical probability, both of those incredibly specific realities came to pass.
This raises an important question because at first glance, this sounds identical to The Secret. It sounds like magical thinking, where you just ask the universe for a Ferrari and it appears in your driveway.
Right.
But Adams is deeply pragmatic. He does not believe the universe is bending to his pen strokes. He approaches the success of affirmations entirely through the lens of cognitive neurology.
Which is a huge relief. So what is the actual mechanism? How does writing a sentence hack the moist robot?
It operates by hijacking a specific bundle of nerves in the brainstem, called the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS.
At any given moment, your brain is being bombarded by millions of bits of sensory data. The hum of the air conditioner, the feeling of your shirt on your shoulders, the color of the cars driving by outside.
It's overwhelming.
If your brain processed all of this information consciously, you would instantly go insane. The RAS acts as a ruthless bouncer at the door of your consciousness. It filters out 99% of that data, only allowing information that is immediately relevant to your survival or your current active focus to enter your awareness.
It's the classic new car phenomenon.
Oh, right.
You buy a blue Toyota, and suddenly you feel like every third car on the highway is a blue Toyota. They didn't magically materialize. They were always there, but your RAS was previously filtering them out as irrelevant data. Now that you own one, the bouncer lets them into the club of your consciousness.
Exactly. By forcing yourself to physically write down a specific goal 15 times a day, you are manually programming the RAS. You are handing the bouncer a VIP list.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You become hyper-focused and acutely aware of subtle opportunities, patterns, and resources in your environment that you would have previously ignored. If your brain is actively primed with the affirmation, "I will be a famous cartoonist," it suddenly flags a tiny, obscure advertisement for an art class in the back of a magazine.
Or it heightens your attention when you overhear a conversation at a coffee shop about newspaper syndication.
Exactly.
It also serves as a massive optimism engine. The sheer act of taking the time to write it down tricks your brain into believing the outcome is plausible. That optimism spikes your energy, which allows you to work harder on your system, which generates better results. It creates a self-fulfilling neurological loop.
He also suggests that perhaps your subconscious mind has already recognized a latent talent you possess, and the affirmation is simply a mechanism for giving your conscious mind permission to focus heavily on that talent.
It is a practical system for maintaining relentless focus and high energy. And you absolutely need that focus and energy to build a net large enough to catch the final, unavoidable, and deeply humbling element of success: luck.
Ah, the elephant in the room. I appreciate how brutally honest he is about this. He looks at the titans of industry, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and he plainly states that a massive component of their success is pure, unadulterated luck.
Yeah, you did not choose your genetic code. You did not choose your baseline intelligence or your physical health.
You didn't choose the socioeconomic status of your parents, the country of your birth, or the historical era you were born into. If Bill Gates possessed the exact same brain but was born 100 years earlier, he would have been an incredibly smart guy fixing steam engines, not the architect of the digital age.
It represents a highly deterministic view of reality. Much of what we consider our character, our work ethic, our tolerance for risk, our ability to delay gratification is heavily influenced by the genetic lottery and our early environment.
So if so much of the game is dictated by luck, why are we even talking about this? Why read a book about success or build systems or stack skills if the universe is just rolling dice?
Because while luck cannot be summoned on command, it can be mathematically managed. You cannot force a lightning bolt to strike from a clear sky. But you can spend your days building a massive, highly conductive lightning rod, and you can choose to stand in a field during a thunderstorm.
Building daily systems, stacking a diverse array of mediocre skills, fiercely protecting your personal energy, and utilizing failure as a research lab. These are the components of your lightning rod.
Yes. You are manipulating the mathematics of your life to guarantee that when the inevitable drops of luck finally fall from the sky, you possess a net wide enough and strong enough to catch them.
So what does this all mean for the listener? Let's tie this entire philosophy together with a quick summary of the Moist Robot Maintenance Plan.
Okay, let's do it. First, prioritize your personal energy above every other metric. Eat, sleep, and structure your day to maximize your biological battery.
Second, stop running from failure. Shovel that cow turd onto your garden and extract the data.
Third, abandon the psychological torture of goals and implement daily systems that guarantee you feel a sense of progression every single day.
Fourth, take an inventory of your average abilities and stack those mediocre skills to mathematically double your odds of standing out.
And finally, use affirmations to program your focus, keep pulling that slot machine handle, and stay in the game long enough for luck to find you. Success is not a magical destiny. It is a learnable, executable skill.
It is a brilliantly practical, unsentimental framework for navigating a chaotic world. However, analyzing this text through a modern lens raises a final, highly provocative question that I think we need to leave the listener to chew on today.
Oh, hit me. What is it?
Well, the author strongly advocates for knowing when to quit. He uses the evolution of early cell phones as an example. Technologies or projects that will eventually change the world usually show some glimmer of promise early on, while things that are fundamentally flawed just stay bad. He suggests bailing quickly on dead ends to preserve your energy.
Right, the modern Silicon Valley mantra, fail fast, pivot quickly.
And his entire success formula, the good plus good is greater than excellent equation, relies heavily on the slow, steady human accumulation of discrete, definable skills. You spend a year learning basic Python coding, you spend 6 months learning conversational Spanish, you take a seminar on persuasive copywriting.
Okay, yeah.
But what happens to this specific mathematical formula when the fundamental nature of the game changes overnight? What happens when a massive technological paradigm shift occurs? For instance, the rapid accelerating dawn of artificial general intelligence.
Oh, wow, that changes the entire physics of the slot machine.
Exactly. If your entire life system is built on the strategy of being slightly better than average at a stack of easily definable tasks, what do you do when a ubiquitous AI can write perfectly optimized code instantly, generate world-class graphic design in 3 seconds, and translate copy into 50 languages flawlessly?
It threatens to render the entire concept of the mediocre skill stack obsolete almost overnight.
How does the Moist robot reprogram itself for a game where the currency of skills and the very definition of human value in the marketplace change entirely? If AGI can synthesize and execute these skills infinitely better and faster than we can, does the good plus good formula still apply?
That is a chilling but absolutely essential question to ask right now. Because if the machine can do all the technical skill stacking for you, then what is the remaining human advantage? Maybe the only viable skill stack left in the future will be extreme adaptability, deep human empathy, and the psychological resilience to step into the complete unknown. Which brings us right back to where we started today.
To the ghost on the stage.
Exactly. When the world changes abruptly, when a paradigm-shifting technology arrives, or when your own body betrays you and your voice shuts down, you cannot rely on your old scripts. You cannot rely on the technical skills that used to guarantee your safety. You have to accept the glitch in the hardware, step out into the blinding glare of the stage lights, open your mouth, and trust that your system will help you find the pattern in the chaos.